everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Floating Oasis. Today we're gonna dive deep into the intersection of gaming, culture, and technology. I'm Xiaoye, and today we will be exploring the complexities of gender, power dynamics, and inclusivity within the gaming industry. How did gaming come to be seen as a male space? What is the experience of female gamers in this environment? And what can we do to create a more inclusive future for everyone who loves gaming? Today, our guest is a friend of mine, Ingrid, who is in her final year in Media and Culture Studies.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me, and I'm incredibly honored to be given this space to talk about this issue that has pretty much plagued a percentage of my time spent gaming. So I've been gaming for many years now, probably since 2007.
Wow, that's a long time.
So incorporating the things that I've learned through media studies, I hope that we can actually put this to our gaming experiences and real-life case studies to understand a deeper level on why there are existing power dynamics in gaming communities and what we can do ourselves as individuals. So throughout this podcast, we'll be unpacking the history of gaming and how gender dynamics are established, and even case studies, and also from professional gamers and researchers.
Great. Before we dive into this topic, I want to give everyone a little bit context. So according to the US data, 46% of players are female in 2023. And according to Nicole Partners in Asia, women comprise 37% of gamers. On top of that, we do see a rising trend in female gamers with a growth of 11% per year. That's quite a lot, women in gaming. So the first question is, what kind of games do you usually play, and how much time do you spend on gaming every day?
Okay, it really depends. So there will be a phase of time I used to play League of Legends and Overwatch, and now I play a bit of Valorant. These are online games. So you play with players, so it's like player versus player. And there are also games which are like single player that you play by yourself and you go through the story by yourself. So now I play a lot of Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero, and sometimes Valorant, but it really depends how much I play per week, because since now I have school, I probably play like 30 minutes to an hour
like on a daily basis?
Every few days.
Every few days? You do not have that much time for
really
gaming, right?
But on holidays, I can play like few hours per day. Yeah, it really depends.
So you're like an OG in game players. Okay. I'm gonna ask, what does it mean to be a female game player? So gaming is a very important part in your daily life, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like already attached to games.
Yeah, I can't imagine myself with like a hobby that's not gaming. Like if I'm not gaming, what else do I do? Okay, sure, I can be reading books, but I don't really like to read a lot. Unless it's for school. But I do like to, sometimes I watch anime or like some TV shows, but yeah, I can never imagine my life without gaming. So what does it mean to be a female player? So sometimes it feels a little bit out of place. This feeling was stronger in my early years because it's associated to like, it's a boy thing.
It's boys and
like,
it's a man's game.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm going to go home and play some video games, but this is most of the time you would hear it from a boy. So it has been quite tough, I think, when I was growing up, being a teenager and playing games, and my parents eventually had to be okay with it. But now it's much more okay because I'm an adult and I'm doing game topics in my university research. So I can kind of link it to something that's not just for entertainment, you know.
So you made it like your career.
Yeah, I wish to. So yeah, this is part of my interest to see like what is happening in the gaming industry and how we can make people feel more welcome.
Okay, so do you find your experience in the gaming always very pleasant, or is there any cases that you feel like, okay, this is not so good, this is not okay?
Yeah, I think very oftentimes when I'm playing online games is where frustration comes, because you have to interact with people in a team game to make it work, you know?
Yeah.
So by default, you won't really be surprised if there's like a guy speaking, because that's what you think of as a gamer, a boy, a male, you know? So I also get really excited when I hear female gamers talking, because like it gives me the feeling where, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only girl here who is trying to communicate and make things work.
So do you feel like you are surrounded by boys and not often by girls, right?
I think most of the time,
Yeah.
because these games are still very stereotypically
Like male games.
Yeah.
But this is really surprising to me because according to data, like half of the gamers are female actually. But where are these girls?
I think because of cases of like harassment or just feeling out of place, like, okay, I'm the only girl. I would rather choose to not talk. I'd rather remain invisible so I don't get harassment just based off my gender, you know?
Yeah, I know, but what kind of harassment?
Okay, so let's say, apparently if you are not playing well enough and you get criticized by another teammate, if they know that you are a girl, it kind of adds on to this layer. So they will attack you not only on your skills, but also your gender. Like, what are you doing here in a video game? Why are you not like cooking something or doing something what a traditional female does?
That's very rude, actually.
Yeah. So it happens quite more often than you would imagine.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay.
Apart from harassment, what else do you find concerning or frustrating?
Okay, so this is not really a gender issue, but it is just how when you're in the gaming space, no one really knows who you are, you know, except for like your username, your in-game name, IGN. Since people don't know your identity, they are more open about what they think. So they insult each other more directly, you know, like saying things that you won't really say face to face because it's like so rude. But with the gaming space, you have like an anonymous identity, so you can say whatever you want.
This is really a problem. Like people online, netizens are kind of ruder than people we met in our real life. Have you ever tried to file a complaint? Does that work out?
It really depends on the report system, because the report system is there, but some people abuse it. And then if some people abuse it, then the people with actual problems, they report it. They don't really have, like, it's not
resources.
Effective. It's not effective, you know?
It's not effective.
So whether the report system is good or not, it really depends on the game and how seriously the people at the other end of the report system, if they think whether it's like a real issue.
Yeah, okay. I heard that you mentioned that some people may abuse the report system. Like, what do you mean by abuse?
Okay, so just because they don't like this person, like, oh yeah, they're so annoying. It's just purely because they're annoying and they can just spam the report button. Because the thing is just there, you can just click it and do the survey, like, why are you reporting this person? And you can just type some bullshit reason and you just report it.
Okay.
And there are also cases like let's say in a team of 5, and then you have about 3 or 4 people who are in the same group. So they as a group, they go inside the game, there will be like a 5th random person, right? So if the 5th random person, even if they did nothing, the 3 or 4 of them find them annoying, they can just report that person.
Okay, so with no valid reason.
No valid reason.
Okay.
And then they'll be like, okay, you're suspended. Yeah.
That's insane.
It happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I can see like why being a female gamer is so tough.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like the report system is also like 50-50. I'm not sure.
50-50?
50-50, like it works or sometimes it doesn't work. And then you don't know what people have in their minds. Perhaps they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Different factors just affect.
Yeah, perhaps there's nothing to do with you actually. Maybe the people are just having bad days and they have like a bad boss. You know? Yeah, okay. Ingrid, you have mentioned that in your earlier years, right, gaming itself was seen as a boy sin. Why was it seen as a boy sin?
This has quite a deep historical context, like ever since games, interactive media has been introduced back in the 1970s and 80s. during the arcade gaming era, you know?
Sorry, I have to interrupt.
Arcade.
What is an arcade?
So
gaming?
arcade are like those big machines where you can play.
Oh.
You know, like you go to the arcade, and there are like different bigger machines where you can press your buttons on there.
Yeah, I know
and
that.
there are also like dance machines or like shooting.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and like the basketball machines. Yeah, that is an arcade. So when arcade gaming was it emerged during the 70s and 80s, boys were the main target consumers. So they are the main audience. And these gaming companies, they cater to this demographic by making the games attractive to boys. So this is like putting really masculine elements on it.
Wait, I just want to ask another question. Like, how did they come to this decision that they're gonna catering to boys instead of girls? It's a weird question, right?
It's pretty specific, but I don't really have any idea.
Yeah, but this is how it is, right?
This is how it is, but the creator of games are actually, I think, computer scientists.
Yeah, mostly of them are male,
Yeah. So it started off as that. So there you have the developers, and who are they developing for? And yeah, so advertisements would then often place these boys in authoritative role, and often teaching other people how to play, and also like establishing this stereotype of a gamer as a boy. So this eventually went on from arcade gaming to like video gaming and to our online gaming on computer as well. So yeah,
I see. Okay, so this is how gaming was naturalizing as a hobby associated with men. Thank you, Ingrid, for walking us through the history of gaming. So we've previously discussed about one famous case, which is the case of Activision Blizzard scandal. Could you briefly introduce us to this case?
Okay, so on the July 20th of 2021, the Californian government files a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard because after a 2-year investigation, they realized that the company had a frat boy culture which targeted their female employees. So according to this article of denofgeek.com, women made up of only 20% of Activision's employee population, but they experienced a lot of sexual harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation.
Okay, wait, let's just stop here a little bit, and I want to ask, what is a frat boy culture?
Okay, so frat boy culture, it just comes from the word fraternity, and fraternity is like an organization which is made up of mostly men, and they had a history of having religious goals, but in recent times it's more like just a bunch of boys doing stuff in an organization, and they receive funding from like the university or like something else.
Okay,
yeah.
Then why is it seen as a problem?
It has a religious history, so for hundreds of years it has always been like a male space. So of course toxic masculinity has been ingrained in this, and they have a lot of culture of to join the fraternity you'd have to go through many difficult challenges and some very shameful challenges. And this
what kind of challenges? I'm just curious.
This is actually very deep because we have this commenter on Quora.com. So they said Hell Night was the last day and night of the hazing, which lasted a semester. So hazing is also a term that is being used to describe like, oh, you have to go through hazing to get into this fraternity. But what is hazing? So it is a bunch of activity that involves humiliation, degradation, abusing, or endangering them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is not
And
so
okay,
nice.
so what examples of hazing? So like asking new members to wear embarrassing or humiliating attire. And or maybe just making them drink until they black out. Like these are just different examples. There are of course like worse examples. Yeah, it gets really dark.
I see.
Yeah, because different fraternities have different of this type of culture, which they market it as a culture, but it is in fact really harmful to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also mentioned toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the definition for this? And could you give us some examples of this?
Okay, so toxic masculinity refers to a collection of harmful and offensive beliefs and tendencies and behaviors that are rooted in traditional male roles, but they are more like extreme, or like what are some things that you do to be more manly, you know? What are some examples of toxic masculinity? Okay, so some of these examples of toxic masculinity is being stoic. That means like being very independent, like I'm a man, so I should earn money and I should be very powerful. You know?
Like power hunger.
Yeah, power hunger. And being a bit violent or dominant, and also having multiple partners.
Multiple partners.
Yeah, multiple
okay,
partners.
That's a fun
and
example.
also homophobia.
I see.
And more of like also like sexual aggression towards women and not being emotional. So these are just like some examples.
Okay, so what exactly did the male employees did in this Activision case?
According to news network Guardian, men would forcefully kick women out of nursing rooms so that they could hold meetings, and they also criticize the women who had to leave the office earlier to pick up their kids from daycare. Some of the men also played games in the office. And there's also a case where a male employee would go up to a female employee very often to make comments about her chest.
Well, that's horrible. Is there any other case or examples that you know of?
It gets worse.
Yeah.
Get ready. They have this thing called, I quote, cube crawls. The male employees would get drunk and they will crawl through office cubicles, and they would make inappropriate actions or remarks towards the female employees. And they will also have cases of not promoting female employees because, I quote, they might get pregnant. And one of the most notable accusation listed in the lawsuit is that one of the female employees committed suicide while on a company trip with another male supervisor, because she is reportedly to be one of the victims of intense sexual harassment, to the point where nude pictures of her were circulated during a company holiday party in somewhere else. So it's like a business trip.
Yeah. It's really horrible.
Yeah, so nobody is really safe from this. Because apparently, write down this article by Den of Geek also says that male employees were also sexually harassed.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is according to
No one's safe.
Kotaku. So they say because of this frat boy culture among the higher ups of the company, they engage in games that involves like groping each other's private parts. One of them was called, and I quote, gay chicken, where, I quote again, the first man to grab the other's junk meaning privates, win. There's reportedly 3 men who reported this case for legal complaint for sexual assault and harassment.
So literally no one is really safe within this company.
Yeah, so within the cases that emerged from this whole scandal, about 10% are male victims of sexual harassment.
Wow.
Yeah, which is insane because like at first when I first heard of this case, I really thought the target was women.
Yeah.
But they target everyone.
Yeah, they target everyone.
Yeah.
But I would say that women are still like this, proportionately targeted.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like over 70% workers in the gaming industry are male. Whereas women only comprise like 20% of the employees.
Yeah. It's really hard to read what these women and some men like suffer in the office space. Yeah. And some of them have children, so they have to have like some sort of financial stability to be able to take care of their kids.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's really hard, and I feel sorry for these victims. Okay, aside from this case, which was really classic, I think there are other cases, right?
Yes,
that you can share.
There's another case study. The second case regards the esports industry.
Could you first explain a little bit about esports?
Okay, esports is basically when people play sports competitively to compete for money prizes. And then they have like a professional team, and they are like professional players, and they compete with each other.
As far as I know, like I think esports is really, really male dominant, right?
Yeah, male dominant.
Almost all of the game players are male. I
The
hardly
biggest-
see a female figure in this industry.
All the players are mostly male. Like I will hardly see any female players. So this case is regarding a professional Valorant player, Melanie Capone. She goes by Mel, and she was reportedly turned away from VCT, which means top tier team trials, because some of the male team members refused to play with women. So I'd love to give you some context. Valorant is a first-person shooter game, so it's like player versus player, team of 5 versus 5. So VCT is Valorant Champions Tour. So it is one of the top tier competitions that's organized by the game developer Riot Games. So it started off in 2021. And this competition, VCT, is mostly male dominated. So they actually have another division which is called Valorant Game Changers. So Game Changers is also a top tier tournament that is for marginalized people. So this being like women or transgender or like racial minorities, etc. So it's mostly a space given for women and other minorities. So Melanie herself said that she has tried going for trials with other top teams, which are mainly in the VCT tournament. She didn't get a chance to have a trial because some of the male team members refused to play with women.
They refuse to play with women?
It's mostly at least one of them would be the case. Yeah, because there's this kind of like, you know, the stereotype of women, like, oh yeah, you don't know how to game, do you? Yeah.
That's toxic.
So this is how the deeply ingrained idea of video games as a masculine trait, it led to so much problems, like even if Mel herself can prove that she does have skills, her gender prevents her from reaching the highest heights in the game industry.
So they reject her just because she is a woman.
Yeah. But she has actually won a few tournaments. Like I've seen her performance, like pretty good. Like the highest rank in Valorant is Radiant, and she has almost hit Radiant like most of the time.
Thank you, Ingrid, for sharing with us the case of Mel. So I've been wondering about why there are so few women in the esport. You know, like women are like comprise half of the gamers, and theoretically there should be more women professional players.
Yeah.
However, unfortunately, there aren't that many women. So Ingrid and we have done a little bit research about this, and we did find a researcher who has been doing research within this field. The name is Natalie Denk. So according to her research, there are mainly 4 reasons why the female e-players are so scarce.
Firstly, there are not enough role models for women in esports, even though their esports tournaments are generally open to men and women, but you can still see that it is mostly men, very male dominated. And this also applies to players, but also to other areas such as like the management or members of esports teams or associations. So therefore, women do not really see themselves as having a career in esports.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there is no representation, then you kind of feel like,
okay, this is not my field, right?
Yeah, I would be so scared to take that role, you know?
Yeah. the second reason is that women might fear of sexism within this industry because gaming is already very famous for its misogyny, right?
Like a very masculine hobby.
It's just like Melanie Capone has encountered in her career, like male teammates might reject her just because she is a woman. Yeah, and also I think like as female gamers, most of them might have experience of being targeted or discriminated as women. So overall the experience is not great.
So like previously I mentioned while playing a game, and if a woman does badly in a game, it quickly means that she plays badly because she's a woman.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something innate.
Yeah. So like why is she not doing something else? Like why is she playing this game? Like why is she so bad? Like she's just naturally bad.
Yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like that. I
So,
think there are like lame male players as well, but they are not seen as like naturally bad.
Yeah, the whole gaming space in general is just more forgiving for men. Like if you play bad, that's okay, I guess. Like you're just a bad player.
Yeah.
But then if you're a female and you're a bad player, they will also be attacked for their gender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the conclusion from Natalie Denk is all of this has something to do with gender-specific socialization and transmission of stereotypical role patterns.
Since birth, we are constantly subjected to socially constructed gender roles. So these video games has been marketed and created and therefore seen as a male activity or like has some male connotation. So this leads to the fact that it is not often assumed at first that girls are even interested in computer games or could even develop them. So in this way, these stereotypical role models become entrenched. Of course, statistics do show that women and girls do enjoy playing games regularly.
Yeah,
but
I mean yourself is an example,
right?
right?
I also know like other people that I play with. Of course, most of them are girls, you know?
Yeah.
Even though my experience as a gamer online is that I do meet a couple of female gamers, the representation that you see in esports tournaments is just so different. Everyone that I see is like male, except like just once in the blue I see like a female.
Yeah, that is so weird because a lot of my friends, my female friends, who do play games like on a daily basis, but you do not often view games as a, like also a girl scene, right?
Yeah, as a career point of view, it feels like I don't really have power over it. It's not the power in the sense that I want power. It's just the power in the sense like my significance, like how valuable is it as compared to like a male counterpart, you know?
Yeah, so we can see that women are massively underrepresented here. The last reason, I think this is already previously mentioned by Ingrid, that those gaming industry or gaming companies do not perceive women as a target group. So like girls are believed to be not interested in video games.
Marketing and development of games, they just kind of tend to have like the male connotation.
Yeah. They only view boys and men as their target groups.
Yeah.
So naturally, women are kind of like excluded by this group. So we've talked about two disturbing cases. As an audience, you might wonder, like, is there any solution for this phenomenon? Or is there a way that we can address this underrepresentation of women in gaming industry and in esports? So Ingrid, do you have any suggestions for this?
Okay, so when I was studying, one of the most defining concepts that I went through was this concept of intersectionality. So intersectionality is a term which is first coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. So it is a way of thinking in gender studies created by non-white feminists in North America. So instead of gender alone, you have to acknowledge that race, ethnicity, class, sexual orientation, religion, and other variables come to play, and they are interconnected, you know? So by looking at the bigger picture of a person's identity through all these aspects, So it helps you to understand how they experience the world rather than just one aspect of their identity alone. I think that intersectionality is crucial in understanding gamers and their identities. And with that, we can understand what kind of challenges they go through and what kind of opportunities that different people have. So, well, in the context of video game advertising, these representations of different groups, they act as role models for gender expectations and consequences, where different racial and gender stereotypes in advertising can impact the society to have biases in looking at different people.
So basically, you're talking about we should increase representation of all races, genders in gaming marketing, right?
So it's just in a way to make people more like open-minded. There's so much more to just male gamer.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately, like acknowledge what is the kind of environment you want to create to welcome the most people. Basically, like make everyone have like a enjoyable time. Since
to make everyone feel included. So I think it is of vital importance that we apply intersectionality in game marketing. But meanwhile, we know there are a lot of like game developers are male. I think it's also very important to apply intersectionality in game design, right? Not just marketing.
Yeah. So for game design, since the history of games has often been male developers developing for male audiences, you can see that most of these female characters in the games have been created for the male gaze.
Yeah.
So you can see that the female characters have like
insane bodies.
Insane body
and a lot
proportions.
of nudities.
Yes, a lot of nudity. Most of their armor doesn't make sense. Like, why is there a hole there? Why is there so much skin? Why is her chest and her bottom so big?
Yeah.
Like, some of this just doesn't make sense to you. At first, I would never question this, but until I just looked more and more, like, why do I prefer having the male armor over the female armor? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, which is more practical?
Yeah.
Okay, so, this is one of the factors that we should consider why norms become norms, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, like you mentioned the armor scene, which reminds me of Joan of Arc. During the Olympics in Paris, they create a female knight, which is based on Joan of Arc, and she also wore armor. I think the armor that she wore is really gender neutral, and you can hardly tell that she's female or male.
Okay, I just looked it up. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Wow. Okay, so it's kind of like a statue. This is so nice.
I really like her figure overall.
In terms of like armor, all hope is not lost because there is a game that I've been playing. It's called Monster Hunter, and they're releasing one of their newer versions next year. It's called Monster Hunter Wilds, and they're going to allow females to be able to wear male armor and having male characters being able to wear female armor. So it's like getting really diverse, which I really like because I'm interested in what people are about to create with their own characters. I love to play as a female character, but being subjected to wear the female armor, I don't really like it. Yeah, because the female armor tends to be really overly exposed for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, how can they fight in such armor, right? Their body are not properly protected
They would be getting more damage.
Yeah.
So, well, the next one would be cyberfeminism. So, in this context, it would involve applying feminist principles into the gaming culture and how we can make it more inclusive for people of different identities. So make it a space that welcomes everyone.
Yeah.
So cyberactivism, it just means activism done on platforms. So advocating gender equality and to raise about the forms of discrimination faced by women and other
minority groups.
Yeah, and then creating safer online spaces. So some of these things that has been done is such of an example is Discord servers. So Discord is like a very popular gaming social media platform. So people create female-only Discord servers for girls who want to play with other girls so that they won't really be subjected to gender-based discrimination, so they can feel like safer.
Wow.
Yeah. I have participated. It's pretty nice sometimes.
So you would feel safer within such Discord?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's great that people are willing to create such servers.
Well, I think this is all for today, and I myself is actually not a gamer. You can tell, like, I have no idea where all these concepts in gaming are. So thank you so much for sharing with us all
I'm very
this
happy to.
stuff within the gaming industry. And as a female gamer, I think this is really eye-opening for me and maybe also for some audience.
Yeah. Okay, just so you guys know, any female gamers out there, you're not alone. Yeah, but we'll always be fighting for equal spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please subscribe to Xiaoye and her team.
Yeah. Please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment or share opinions on today's topic. Bye for now.